Hello again, everyone. My name is James Shotwell. This is Music Biz, and today we're going to talk about the one thing that will not change when live music returns. Now, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that the return of live music is imminent, and depending on where you live, it may already be back. I mean, people in Florida are attending full cap outdoor shows right now without needing to wear masks. And in Texas, EDM festivals are already back in full force, and next month in May we'll see Electric Daisy return. Whether or not you're able to go to these shows or you feel comfortable going to these shows is beside the point. Live music is back, but if you're an artist, I want to caution you to not get rid of everything you've begun to use over the last year without live music, and this is why. You see, as much as we can talk about all the negatives of COVID, and trust me, there are millions of negatives involved, there has been a very interesting development in the music industry where the entire business has had to adapt for the first time in a really long time. Probably not since streaming and digital piracy became a thing has the entire industry had to band together to figure out what exactly we were going to do to keep the wheels on the rails and keep this industry moving forward. And one of the biggest advancements of the last year has been in live streaming. Now, of course, there have been live streams for well over a decade, but never have they been as common or as easy to access or as easy to host and perform as they are right now. And trust me when I say that that business model is not going anywhere anytime soon, regardless of what happens with COVID. The biggest thing restricting the growth of live streaming up until very recently was an abundance of other options. The industry didn't see the need to invest in developing a new way for people to enjoy live music because concerts were booming. There were more festivals than ever. There were more artists than ever touring all over the world all the time. But in March 2020, all of that changed, and the industry quickly realized why it needs to invest long-term in things like live streaming. And as a result, we've seen the birth of dozens of live streaming platforms. Everyone from Veeps, which is now owned in part by Live Nation, to Bandcamp has created platforms where people can stream their performances online. That's not including things like YouTube and Twitch and Instagram and all these platforms that already kind of had that technology built in. All this goes to say that live music performed on the internet for people all over the world is now commonplace. We expect it, especially of artists at a certain level. I mean, if you have a global audience and you're trying to release something right now, you would be a complete fool to miss out on the opportunities presented by live streaming. Whether or not you sell tickets, you can sell merch, you can get your face out there, you can announce your future tour dates, you can engage with your audience on a really close one-to-one basis that you never could previously. The possibilities are endless with live streaming. And now that it's here, the industry is not about to turn its back. I mean, let's just choose an artist at random, like Dua Lipa, who had a really expensive, very successful live stream last November. Now, when touring returns in the near future, Dua Lipa will no doubt announce a worldwide tour, playing at dozens, if not 100 plus venues all over this globe to tens of thousands of fans every single night. But that does not begin to scratch the surface of how many fans she has worldwide. And if she wants to reach all those people, live streaming is the best possible option. And the same thing can apply to artists at a much smaller scale. Let's say that you're an alternative band who has, 30,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, but they're spread out all over the planet. So if you go to Chicago, you might be able to play to a pretty large crowd, but if you go to New Orleans, you don't have as many fans there, maybe you're playing to a much smaller audience. But you no doubt have fans all over the world. Touring is expensive, it's time consuming, it's not very lucrative for a lot of artists, but live streaming doesn't have a huge cost once you get all the pieces together. You can do it as often as you want, you can choose to charge or not charge, you can accept donations, you can sell merch, you can engage your audience. I believe that we will soon be entering an age where there are artists who never go on tour, but who perform online relatively regularly and have gigantic followings. People will pay tickets to attend live streams because it's the only chance that they may ever have to see that artist live. And the same thing can apply to artists at every level of the business. I mean, if you have a fan in a country that you may never get to tour to, or that you just don't have a big enough following in to ever make it really worthwhile to you, that fan still wants to see you live. And live streaming provides the opportunity for them to do that. It also provides an incredible discovery opportunity. I mean, sharing a song with your best friend is a great way to get them interested in a band you love. But being able to share that live experience with them, even through a screen, is so much more important. It can do so much more to influence future listenership because they see you, they forge a connection that yes, you and your bandmates are human beings who are creating art that is trying to speak to the human condition, and that resonates with people, especially when they can see you. So even when touring returns, live streaming isn't going anywhere. And if I can just give you another reason why, let's talk about comfort. Right now, there are a lot of people who are willing to go to concerts. And I think that as 2021 carries on and into 2022, the number of people who are ready to go back to live music is only going to grow. But there's still a chunk of the population that is scared, that is uncomfortable being in large crowds, and they may be for the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean that you should rob them of the opportunity to watch you perform. Even if you go back out on tour, even if you start playing festivals, you should still make live streaming a priority. Both on a casual basis, where you're just interacting with fans, doing like one-on-one chats or Q&As or whatever it happens to be, and also full-fledged performances. Because again, if you don't, you're leaving money on the table, you're alienating a certain portion of your audience, you're just leaving this big gap of potential revenue, potential fans, potential listeners, potential everything. You're leaving potential on the table, and that's a mistake. The artists that are getting ahead right now are adapting to how things change, they're figuring out what works for their career, and they're carrying it forward. They're not letting go of something because another option becomes available unless that second option fulfills all the needs of the other one at lower costs and higher returns. Touring will solve a lot of money problems that artists have right now, but live streaming can still produce a good amount of revenue, not to mention engagement and all that. So please, whatever you do, don't abandon your live stream audience. Don't abandon the internet for social media. You want to keep this going. This is a cash cow that is going to continue to grow no matter what happens with live music. Now, I'm sure some of you are out there watching this and you've considered getting into live streaming, but you haven't quite done so yet. You don't really know what you need. You don't really know how to maximize the return, but don't worry. That's what we do here at Music Biz. We have videos on live streaming from a ton of different angles, and we have more on the way in the near future. So if you haven't done so already, please click the subscribe button down below. You'll gain access to hundreds of videos that are available all the time right here on YouTube. We're adding more every single week, and you'll also be a part of a community of entertainers and professionals that are trying to build a better, more accessible, more inclusive music business. We want you to be a part of it, and I really hope you'll subscribe. And if you've already done so, thank you so much for watching. Your support means the world. I'll be back soon, and until then, take care of yourself because you deserve it.